Welcome to the Candidly Cozy podcast.
Grab your tea and let's get cozy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily.
And I'm Jolie.
And welcome back to the Candidly Cozy podcast, where we like to have candid, genuine conversations about everything girly related.
This is your go-to podcast for all things relatable, therapeutic, and empowering. Nothing is off the table. So grab your tea, water, wine, which is my favorite, or coffee, and let's get cozy. And before we get started, guys, this is our second episode. So that's like a big milestone for us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so
we're finally doing it.
Yeah, so we're not novices anymore. I'm kidding. We're still beginners.
We're still beginners, but this is the second time we're actually like recording.
Yes. And as we told you guys, this is like a dream come true for us. So this podcast means a big deal for us. And the fact that we're filming our second episode, although it's just only second episode, is still something that's special to us.
We already have idea for the third one and the fourth one. Like we're ready. We're like on a roll.
Yes. I hope you guys are excited for what we have in store for you guys.
Yep.
Yeah. And for today, what we have in store for you guys is FOMO.
Yep. Today's episode is all about FOMO.
Yes. Fear of missing out.
Yes.
Yes.
That feeling of being left out. So let's get into it.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, let's get in.
It definitely does suck.
Yeah, let's get into it. So when did we start feeling FOMO? Like, trying to think like when I first started feeling FOMO.
For me, it was definitely in my teenage years. Definitely like high school, junior high years. That's when I started like really experiencing FOMO. But it's interesting because I wasn't like all the other kids. I was a very introverted, quiet person. So it would be weird that I would even experience the FOMO for these things. But like I got FOMO for like not having a lot of friends or hanging out with friends or not being invited to like parties and missing out on those things, which
not
is really
being as social.
Yeah. I think that's really what it was for me, the whole like FOMO experience at that age. But yeah, that was like a big part of my FOMO experience back then.
Yeah, me thinking back, I've definitely had FOMO in high school too. Then again, in high school, I feel like when we were teenagers, we have certain priorities where we want to be famous, not famous, like popular, or we want to have a lot of friends. We want to go to all these parties.
Yeah.
But me thinking back, I think I had FOMO way before high school.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you experiencing FOMO about?
It had a lot to do with like my childhood. Like I did not have a bad childhood or anything like that. It's just like the way my childhood was. Like I did have experienced FOMO. And then I did continuously had FOMO, I guess, like in middle school and then high school and then college. Until this day, I still have FOMO, which, it's crazy.
It has evolved, though, the type of FOMO.
Yeah, it has evolved a lot. It has changed. So the things I've, had FOMO about in the past, I don't have anymore. But I have new things that I have FOMO about. So there's that.
What kind of FOMO did you have in the past?
In the past, so it had a lot to do with comparison, but like as a child, sometimes I'm just like, I wish I was this, I wish I was that, I'm not this enough, I'm not that enough. So that it did have that comparison, but I did have the same experience as you in high school where I wish I had more friends. I had a lot of friends in high school, actually.
I wish it was like real friends, like people like you actually like I knew their favorite color, or I knew like all their siblings' names, or like we hung out on the weekends. I never had that. So it was like the FOMO of like I'm missing out on like those like genuine friendships. And then it was the FOMO of like I'm missing out on like what they do, Like I didn't have that. I had, I hung out with like a few people, but like hung out meaning like at school. I didn't do anything after
or
school
like
with
lunch,
anyone or lunch. Like that was it. But I didn't like do anything with anyone like on the weekend or after school. So like I kind of never really experienced that kind of a
interaction.
Yeah, so that's really where like a lot of the FOMO came from. And then I'm pretty sure you also grew up in like a strict household,
like,
strict parents.
Strict household, strict parents.
So I wasn't allowed to do things. Like I wasn't allowed to be like, oh guys, I'm going on a party.
Yeah, we were both pretty sheltered.
Oh, yes. So I think that had a lot to do with the FOMO.
Yeah, for me too. Like now that you mention it, for me too, that had a lot to do with my FOMO because I was pretty sheltered growing up. Even like in middle school, high school, that was pretty much my experience. So a lot of my FOMO when I was younger came from that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I can't believe I just thought that. I just connected that. But that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, I'm like, yeah, that's the same for me. Like, look at us, we're having a therapy session right here.
This is the free therapy session.
Yeah,
that
therapeutic.
I need. But yeah, that's a factor. And then just like even just who I was, like myself, again, shy, like quiet, kept to myself, didn't really have a lot of friends. I wasn't really like into like clubs and like staying after school. Like I did sports, I did soccer, but that was it. But then it was like I kind of felt FOMO seeing like all like the people that were like in the same clubs and like they would do like things together. Like that was another way that I experienced FOMO. I know that you were in a lot of clubs, so like did you experience that like in any kind of way?
It's funny that you mentioned that. I feel like me being really involved has to do with FOMO because I'm
Really?
like, yeah, because I think a lot about like, oh, if I don't join this club, maybe I might miss out on something.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I might miss out on the fun or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I always like art, so like I was really involved in doing art. However, like growing up, my parents did not really support my
art.
Yeah, my creative side.
Yeah.
So that developed like some FOMO too. I'm like, if I don't tap into my creative artist side, I might miss out on something.
Yeah, you might miss out on a few. Like, look at us.
Yeah.
We didn't tap into the YouTube side
Yeah,
of
the
it.
YouTube side. Now we're feeling FOMO about that. So that's part of our adult FOMO.
That's a big part of our adult FOMO. But yeah, it's crazy how the FOMO from like back then kind of lingers into now, but it's shifted because now it's more of like an adultish kind of FOMO. But yeah. That was like how I experienced my FOMO back then.
Yeah, same. Let's talk about our adult FOMO.
Adult FOMOs. Oh my god.
This is different because I feel like as adults, there's different expectations set on you and there's different responsibilities. So with all that, it has changed the way we've experienced FOMO.
Yes. I think FOMO now, especially now, because back then, even in high school, social media wasn't that like big of a deal.
It wasn't that big like back in the day.
But
well,
now,
we're not that old.
I mean, pushing it there a little bit. But no, we're not that old. But no, social media now plays a huge role in a lot of issues. One of them definitely being FOMO.
No, I definitely agree. Especially like with adulthood, like having social media in adulthood, and especially like us being millennials. So we kind of were like the first like guinea pigs of social media. Yeah. So there wasn't a lot of like etiquette about that. So with that, we do experience a lot of FOMO because we see a lot of people now like showing off different things. Yeah. And that wasn't a thing for us, for
no, that really wasn't the thing. The thing was like, oh, you hung out with your friend on the weekend at like the park or around your house or something, and you would hear about it.
Yeah,
but now it's like you see
but now you see things. You see things about people you don't even know, you never met, or you probably never will meet. Yeah, you see them doing amazing things, but back in the day, you only hear amazing things about the people you might know, or people or like friends of friends, or like people from your town.
So like back in the day, you would hear these things, but now you see it on social media, you see it on Instagram, you see like, for me at least, like I see like the pictures of like the friend groups going on like these trips with each other, and like people getting houses and all these things, and I'm like, damn, I missed out on like creating those kind of friendships, or I missed out on traveling. Like I should have traveled sooner, or I should have taken a year before college and traveled. Like I feel like I missed out on certain things. But then there's also like this FOMO of I'm missing out on having these like genuine relationships with people because I'm so stuck on like the device and like seeing their lives on the device.
Yeah. For me, like more my FOMO with social media, it has to do with success and career, because because for me, like I had a completely different idea of where I would want to be in my life right now in terms of like career wise, but I'm not there. And whenever I'm on social media and I see people achieving that or living that, especially people I've knew from the past, or like people I've known, example, colleagues from college or high school, then I feel the FOMO. I'm just like, oh shoot, I should have done that. I should have done this.
I missed out on those opportunities.
I missed out on these opportunities. I'm missing out of like not doing this, not doing that. So I feel FOMO on that. And big time, I know for both of us, is social media.
Yes. As a career,
because we wanted to do social media at a prime time.
It was like at its highest point.
Yes. So if we started social media when we wanted to start, guys, we would have been big. Huge.
We would have been big. We would have had so many years of creating that it would have had to have like some sort of benefit for us.
Yeah. And I hope we get that across, that we're actually really passionate about content creation and all that. So we do feel FOMO whenever we see people who are ahead of us doing that for years, or, you know, gaining the skills that we wish we would have, or, you know, we could have like started doing those silly dances on TikTok during COVID. We have FOMO of that. We, you know, I'm just like, oh wow, I missed out on all these prime times when I could have been doing all that, and who knows where I would have been right now.
True.
Yeah. And yeah, whenever I see social media, content creators, or like people I know who are doing social media and they're doing pretty well, and I'm happy for them. But it makes me think about my own life, that I'm missing out of not doing anything for myself.
Yeah. That's like a big it's like a hard FOMO that we experience now.
Yeah.
Because it was something that we were really passionate about back then. But I think we let a lot of like, at least for me, I let a lot of fears of like judgment and stuff like that get in the way. So I definitely feel the FOMO of, I wasted too much time. I missed out on it.
Yeah, same.
I feel like it was a different time then, because not a lot of people were doing it.
Yes.
Versus now you have,
it's more saturated.
It's very saturated. Yeah. You have a lot of a lot of people that you can see. And the thing is, you have a lot of people doing like the same thing. So you kind of feel like, oh, I can't join in because I don't offer anything new to it. But at the same time, you got to remember, like, that's not true. There's going to be someone that's going to want to watch your videos versus people that have been on it for years. But it's just hard. It's a hard kind of FOMO to kind of like get over. But that's definitely one of the big adult FOMOs that I've experienced.
Yeah, same. Another one I experience is societal expectations, especially, you know, us being women of a certain age group. Society has certain expectations, even since we were young.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be married by a certain age. You got to have children by a certain age. Especially when the cartoons we used to watch back in the day, you know, with Disney princesses and all that. We need to find our prince, you know, and all that. So I do feel a little bit of FOMO about that, because right now we're at the age where our friends are getting married,
engaged, they're having babies. They have their own, like, they're buying their own homes.
Yeah.
They have like their career set.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which according to society standards, we should have been doing all that too. But we're none of the above. We haven't done any of the above.
No. And it's interesting though that that's like the FOMO that society has like pushed on us.
Yeah.
But it's like you find yourself not fitting into that and you feel like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, I feel like people try to make you feel like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, like there's something wrong. Like, how are you not engaged? How are you not married right now?
How you do not have children? It's something that people try to push on you to, like, oh, wait, why aren't you dating anyone? Why aren't you engaged to anyone? Why aren't you married?
It definitely like leads you to feeling very like worried and like anxious.
It does.
About like your current life.
Yeah, and they want to make it seem like you need that right now. You want that right now, but you know, like it without like them thinking about like where you are like mentally, or like where you feel like currently in your life. But that's like a huge FOMO that's, I can say, like that's been affecting me for the past couple of years.
Yeah, I would say that's something that kind of affects me like every once in a while. Like monthly I go through it where I'm like, oh man, I've missed out on like 10 solid years with someone.
Yeah, dating, you know? And, you know, being in a
or like, oh man, I missed out on, well, at least for me, you know my opinion on children right now. So if I was, if this was me in a different time, if this was me years ago, I would have been like, oh, I've missed out on having a relationship where I can now have children. So it sucks. FOMO definitely sucks because it plays with your head and it plays with your like your mental state. I think that with FOMO, it has led me to like dark places.
Oh God, yes. Unfortunately.
Again, especially because you see everybody's life portrayed on social media and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
So you feel like you've definitely have failed at something. You've missed out on something.
And don't forget that whatever you see on social media is people's highlight reels.
Yeah.
So they're not going to show like the dark side of their lives or like the downsides of their lives, which is okay, but like it's something that people tend to forget. They see like people are like doing well. They think they're doing well all the time. But that's not how life works.
No, it's not how it is.
Yeah. So yeah, for me too, like it definitely, sometimes I've been, you know, I do feel down about certain things. Like what if, I do get to like those what if like mental like spirals, like what if, you know, I did this, what would have happened if I tried that, you know, what if I dated that guy, you know, would have we been married or whatnot. But I learned to just accept things as they are. Right now I'm reading a book, it's called The Power of Now. So The Power of Now is a book, it's like a spiritual book where they talk about right now is all you have. So like, you know, you just have to surrender to the now, you know, don't think about the what ifs of the past, or like don't think about the future, just, you know, just accept it now for what it is and do the best you could do. So since reading this book, it really like I've been reflecting a lot, you know, self-reflecting about all the FOMO I've been experiencing. So with that, I've been learning about, like, I've been learning a few ways for me to deal with it and cope with it. And a lot of it for me has to do with mindfulness, which I've been practicing for a long
which
time.
You kind of are introducing me to, like, to put into practice.
So as I mentioned, you know, I've been reading The Power of Now, which is a spiritual book. So you guys could probably guess I'm more like a spiritual person. So incorporating these practices have helped me a lot with my FOMO.
Okay. And what kind of things do you do?
I do a lot of different things. So I do like the basic things, like the general things, like meditating and journaling and self-reflection. So these things help a lot. And also being in the now, and also like do things that bring me joy. So if just walking in the park brings me joy, I do that. Even if I'm down or whatever, I just show up for myself. So showing up for myself every day definitely help with FOMO. Another thing is setting up little goals for myself and celebrating the little wins. So even if, let's say I decide to jog for 20 minutes today, then I reward myself. You know, it's a little win. So these little things really help me when it comes to FOMO.
So it kind of like doing those things, like doing the walk in the park, meditating, journaling, those small little wins for you, like that kind of gets you out of that state, out of that negative mindset that FOMO
whenever I'm
gets
experiencing
you into.
it. Whenever I'm experiencing it, I just do something that has to do with mindfulness. So one thing I've been learning lately is that feelings are temporary.
Oh yes,
I know that's very spiritual.
That's something that I've also been like
learning.
Getting into,
So whenever I have a feeling that it's negative or I don't want to feel, I just meditate it out. I know it sounds silly, you know, I just journal it out and meditate it out, and I just think to myself, you know what, by the end of the day I probably won't remember it. So whenever I'm experiencing FOMO, I just let myself experience it, and I just meditate and journal and just walk in the park, and that sometimes helps. And another thing I do, which I don't know if it's healthy or not, I just I look at the things, I look at the negative side of things as well. So for example, whenever I'm feeling FOMO about getting married, and I'm thinking about like a specific guy, I'm like, oh, I could have been married to him. I think of the negative things. So I look up like those studies. They're like, oh, if you get married young, you're more likely to get divorced.
I've seen that.
You know, or like people who get married young, you know, bad things happen to them, which is not the case for everyone. But it does make me feel better about myself.
It's true though. It does change your perspective on it.
It changed my perspective. Or like, let's say I'm missing a guy from the past or whatever. I think about the negative things about the guy. I'm like, oh, he does this, my husband would never. It's just little things like that. But maybe it's a little toxic, but it helps me out.
It gets you out of it though, so that's a good thing. Or else you'll be stuck in that and you'd feel like sad and depressed about the fact that you don't have someone.
You get into a bad mental spiral, which we do not want. What about you, Emily? How do you get out of your FOMO?
So there's two things that I definitely do. One, and I think it's something that I started doing before the second one, is especially with remember we talked about like high school and when we were young and the FOMO that we experienced, I think back to like, who was I? Like, what was I like? What was my personality like?
Who's Emily?
Exactly. And I realized like any kind of FOMO that I was experiencing did not really align with who I really was. So the FOMO of like not being invited to parties and stuff like that, I was not the kind of person that wanted to be invited to parties anyways. So was I really missing out on something?
I like that.
Or like the FOMO of like, this is something that I definitely knew like very young, that I was not the kind of person that was going to have 20 friends. Like that just did not vibe for me. I could not handle that. So then the FOMO when I was experiencing like, oh, I don't have a lot of friendships or like deep, meaningful friendships, it's kind of like, but that's not even what I would want. I wouldn't want to have 20 different people to be friends with. I would want to have like a very close-knit set of people that I was really like close to and that were actual friends. So I feel like now I kind of have that where I have like you and I have like my other bestie, and it's just the two people. Like you guys are my only two friends, and it's like
feel special.
They're like meaningful relationships. So like now I don't have the FOMO in that. Back then I was experiencing the FOMO because I'm like, oh my god, I don't have anyone, or like people don't want to hang out with me. I'm missing out on all these friendships and all these things that people are doing. So it's kind of like reflecting on like, who am I?
I love
am
that.
I really that person? Is that like who I actually am? That explains why I'm feeling this, or is it like that's not even who I am? So why am I even experiencing this kind of FOMO? If that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I like that. You go to like your own internal values, your true self. You go within, and I love that.
Yeah, so that was something that I kind of started reflecting and like putting into perspective like first. Now the biggest thing that I do with any kind of FOMO I may be experiencing is I do a social media detox.
Oh.
That I'm like the queen at that. I do that. I would say I do that like every year.
Yeah, like she doesn't post on social media.
I don't.
But sometimes like I would notice like her Instagram disappears.
Yes.
Little do I know, like she's going through a little detox.
I'm going through a detox because I am going through like a dark time. So I need to take a break from the FOMO that I'm experiencing because of social media. I need to take a break from the comparison that I'm experiencing because of social media, because it's all very negative. So I take a break. There may be someone on social media that like I'm obsessed with, and I like to see their posts and I see their life, and I get so much FOMO from seeing what they've accomplished or what they're doing, and that I'm like, oh man, I'm missing out on that, or oh man, I missed out on that. But then it's like it takes a very dark toll on me, and it just comes so consuming, and it literally is like a switch is flipped, and I'm just like sad. Like I just can't function, and I just feel like I feel so like bad inside. So then I just take a detox. I unfollow, I mute, I block.
Do you deactivate your account too?
I'm pretty sure I've done it once or twice, but like I just don't engage in it anymore. So instead of going on social media, I'll read a book. Another thing that I like to do when I'm like experiencing FOMO and I'm trying to like, reset my mind is like I like to binge watch my favorite TV shows. Or I like to binge watch a bunch of movies. A bunch of series of movies.
Having like some self-care for yourself.
Yeah. You kind of have to resort to that because doing FOMO and dealing with FOMO, it kind of like breaks you a bit. It does. So you kind of like build yourself back up. But yeah, that's kind of what I do.
Yeah, little TLC.
Yeah. It helps.
As you guys can see, we both deal with FOMO, and if you deal with FOMO, just know you're not the only person who deal with that. Especially nowadays with the age of social media, it's so common for women, of all age groups to experience that. And like we mentioned, it has a lot to do with comparison.
Yeah.
And it comes with it, it's part of life. But, there's always ways to deal with it. So it's not something you have to just experience and, there's no solutions for that. No, there are some tips we can like share, like general tips. Like, for example, like the way Emily deals with FOMO, avoid what triggers your FOMO.
Yes, avoid it at all costs.
Yes.
Do a detox.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. It could be social media.
Like people,
it could
social
be
media,
people.
parties.
Exactly.
It could be like a specific location.
Yeah.
It could be whatever. So just avoid it. Other advice we could share is just like do the things that you love. Like we mentioned, she likes to read and like watch movies. For me, I like go on my little walks. So just do little things you enjoy. It doesn't have to be reading or watching movies or walking. It could be like dancing. It could be like swimming. It could be like fashion.
It could even be like traveling.
Yeah,
like,
traveling.
Just something that gets you out of that state of constant negativity with the FOMO. It will benefit you.
Yeah, and get hobbies, Yeah. Like I mentioned, swimming, traveling, these are all like nice hobbies you can have that can get your mind away from negativity. Yeah. Just be in the moment. Another thing you can do is just be in the moment.
Yeah, practice mindfulness.
Practice mindfulness. And of course, seek like professional help.
Yeah. Therapy is good.
Therapy is amazing.
It's a trained professional.
Yeah, trained professional.
That can actually help guide you.
Yes, and give you like proper tools.
Yes.
On how to deal with it.
Yes.
Other things you could do, remember that everyone's life path is different.
Yes.
Yeah, and comparing yourself is not gonna help you, because just because she chooses to do this with her life and I choose to do that with my life doesn't mean that whatever choice she makes is superior than mine or mine's superior than hers. We're just all different, and we have different experiences in life, and that's okay.
And just because you missed out on certain things doesn't really mean that,
doesn't really mean that you miss out over on what you're supposed to do in life.
Exactly.
Yeah, so everyone has their own path in life. And also, like, when it comes to FOMO, let's say you have goals and you feel like you missed out on your goals, you can always do that. Look at us, we're like starting our podcast right now.
We're doing this now.
Yeah.
Versus years ago when we wanted to start it and we felt like we missed out on all that. Yeah. Now we're doing it. Does it feel like we're missing out on something now? I don't feel like it does. I feel like now it feels like we're doing it.
Yeah. So, when you have FOMO on a goal or something you want to do, just do, you don't have to, like, just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to go 100%. Just do 1% every day. Let's say you want to write a book. Just write like 1 page every day.
Yeah. Take like the small steps.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Take the small steps every day until you achieve your goal.
Yes.
Yeah, so don't really focus on the end goal. Focus on the journey. So the small steps. And we don't have to be perfect when starting something.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, just start and think about the easiest way for you to start something. It could be anything. Like for us, before starting the podcast, we actually been working on it for 6 months prior.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't just go into it. Yeah. So yeah, we did have the FOMO of like starting content creation journey. But look at us. We took like the little steps every day, and it took us 6 months before we start recording.
Yeah.
And yeah, look at us now. So just know FOMO's not the end of the world. You're not the only one dealing with it. And
everyone experiencing it.
Yeah.
You're experiencing it when you're younger. You're experiencing it now when you're older.
Yeah. So it's not something that, a certain age group or a certain type of person deals with. Everyone deals with it at some point or another.
You kind of grow out of certain FOMO though.
Yeah. Like for me, being popular in high school, I didn't care. But now I don't care. I mean, now I don't care. Yeah. But yeah, so with that, feel free to join the conversation. We would love to hear your stories of FOMO.
Your ways of coping with it.
Yeah, your ways of coping with it. Any advice you can share, please do so in the comment section.
Keep the conversation going if you want.
Yes, please do so in the comment section. And like, comment, and subscribe. Yes. Let us know you like our podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, please give us encouragement. It's our 2nd episode.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course, follow us on our socials. We are the Candidly Cozy podcast on all platforms.
This Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Yes.
All of the above.
Find us.
Find us and let us know what you think. And yes, we hope you enjoyed this podcast episode.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys very soon with another episode.
Bye, guys.